All right, so we're sort of getting more advanced with our spreadsheet calculations, and there's other things that you need to be aware of. So particularly as you increase in your study for science, a lot of the complex data you're going to be working on and graphing pretty much will be done in spreadsheets. First thing to recognise is that I'm obviously working on question 4, page 21, and I'll help you to do the solution for this question. But already you can see probably that in this cell here, year of manufacture, it's sort of cut off, and this cell here jumps across into the second cell. Another little feature that's really handy is something called text wrap, and what that means is that if I hold my mouse over there for a bit longer, there it is. It actually will push the text down to the next line. It will keep the column width as it is. So I'm going to text wrap this as well. So I'm going to click on that cell, and I'm also going to text wrap that one. So these are two parts to question B, I think, that we have to do some calculation with a little bit later. All right, I haven't done any formatting for the spreadsheet. It's just simple, and we've got a year of manufacture for a car, and we have a carbon dioxide percent, and we've got a carbon monoxide percent that comes out of the exhaust. I think one of the things that we have to do in this question is to do some graphing. And so not too easy, but I'll show you how to graph this, and I'm going to do individual graphs first. I'm going to graph the year of the car against the carbon monoxide level, and then I'm going to graph the year of the car against the carbon dioxide, and then I'm going to do all three on the one graph. Now let's do year of manufacture first, and if I hold down the control key, I can select non-concurrent cells. That means cells that aren't next to one another. So the control key allows me to do that. So we can try it again. So we just click here, hold the control key down, and then we select the carbon monoxide column. Now, so far so good. Now I'm not sure what version of Excel you're all using. I try and do it the easiest way I possibly can. And so I make the software do all the calculation for me, and that means I can use a wizard, or what's in this version it's called recommended charts. And so what I'm going to do is, obviously that's an option, that's an option, and that's an option. I think I'm going to do a line chart, and this gives me a bit of a sample about what the chart looks like. And so I like that one. There it is. So I'll choose that one, and I'll bung it in for me. Right exactly where I'm probably wanting it. Oops, I'll just go back and undo, and I'll drag that up there because we're getting rid of space in a minute. That's our first little chart. The other thing to recognize, and it looks like that's fine, just check 70, yep, 77, so it's kind of 77 on the bottom axis. Of course I can click on this, and I can click on this, I can edit all sorts of things with the editing tools over here, but this is just a very simple help video at this particular point. We'll get into that stuff later on a need-to basis. All right, so this is a simple graph used for the wizard. Now you'll notice, for example, let's say if I make that say 20, you'll notice that the graph is actually live, so where it should be. There it is. Did it do that? Oh, idiot. Let's try that again. So 3.17 was what was in that data. Of course, that wasn't what I was graphing. I wanted to make that one 20. So if we go to 20 on that bit of data there, you'll see it changes straight away. And so the graph is actually taking the real data, real time, and making the change, okay, in the graph. That's pretty handy if you want to change numbers around, see the impact on that graph. All right, I'll just save that so we don't lose anything. All right, so the next thing we're going to do is year of manufacture. That's pretty straightforward. Okay, again, you can hold the control key down, but you can just click and drag all the way across if you want to. But I've got a habit of just selecting bits of data individually. So I've got year of manufacture against the carbon dioxide level. Again, I'm going to go to the insert function, and I want to go to recommended charts, and I want that one there, I reckon, which is a line chart. I want to try and keep it in a similar format. And that's really good. It's right above it. So I'll just move that one down to there. And so now I've got the second chart. Second chart is year of manufacture versus carbon dioxide. And as you can see, both of that looks pretty neat. All right, now I'm going to try and put all three on the one chart. And so I'm going to select the first column, Control, whoops, I'm just got to hit the vote, undo, let's do it again. So that's the first column, is what I want. Oh, that moved that, didn't it? Just move that down, go back and stay. All right, and we'll try it again. So first column, Control, and then the second column, and then Control, and then the third column. Same thing. We'll see if this thing worked it out for us. Well, that's exactly what I marked. That one there. That's it. All right. And so what this actually does, in the wizard, without me having any brains about graphing at all, but having some knowledge, because obviously I need to work out that the x-axis is going to be the year, and of course the y-axis is going to be the percent carbon dioxide or carbon monoxide. So I've got to have some idea. I can't be totally brainless when we do this. So I'm just checking the data. I'm just checking it right now, just making sure carbon dioxide's the blue one. So 77, it's about 3.17, yep. And then it's 11, yeah. So that looks okay. So I'm pretty happy with that one. So this chart is my chart. I'm just going to whack it over there. That'll do. That's my chart, and it shows me the level of both carbon monoxide and carbon dioxide on the same graph, which is quite interesting. If you look at it over time, the carbon dioxide emissions have gone down, but the carbon monoxide emissions have gone up. Really easy to see that pattern once we graph it, and that's one of the questions, which I won't answer. I think it's part D that's to do with catalytic. Part C to do with catalytic converters. All right, now back to this question here. We have to do a function or a calculation formula, whatever you want to call it, to work out the average carbon dioxide from 1977 to 1985. Now we can do it this way. You might remember how we did this. We can actually add, and we're in the carbon dioxide column, the first amount of data plus, oops, let's do that again, back. Let's try that again. Function equals, I wanted to go to the first piece, and I wanted to add the second, which is the 83, I've got to go up to 85, and I'll go plus the third one. So if I wanted to find the average of those three, bracket, we're going to use BODMAS rule over 3 and tick, and that will give me the average percentage. Now these are all the percentages that I've just copied straight from the question, and I reckon I'm going to make all of them 2 decimal points, and I'll also make this one 2 decimal points. We're just going to bump it up, and then we'll come back to 2 decimal points like that, which is fine. This is one formula, and I'm also going to do a function now. If you remember, we had just a basic formula, and now we want to do a function. So hopefully you can remember the average. So we want the average. We should just start typing, and it should come up. Yep. So average, there it is, and it even prompts me for range. I want the average. If you remember, I'll click on the first cell and I drag, left mouse button, click and drag all the way down, and we call that a range. So B5 to B7, or I could use that syntax to choose that range. Tick. And of course the answer is the same, which is no problem. We'll just turn that little thing off. All right, and so we've got the level of 3.12, which is what we need. And over here, I'm just going to do the average. We've got to do it from 85 to 96. So I'm going to use the function again. So I've got the average function, and we've got to go from 85, I think that should be 87 to the next year on. So we want of the, oh wait a minute, wrong column, isn't it? We want it of the same gas. We want it from 87 to 86, and bracket and tick. Alright, and so in terms of what we've found out already here, sometimes you get these errors come up. I'm just going to ignore it. What we've actually found out is that if we compare, and of course these two columns are ultimately the same, I'm just putting it in to show you, but if we compare 77 to 85, it was 3.12% for carbon dioxide, and then from 85 to 1996 it's gone down to 0.96. So as cars manufacturing has improved, the amount of carbon dioxide has decreased. Pretty important if you know anything about greenhouse gases. Alright, a few other things to be familiar with. I've just got to find out where it is. Sometimes it is handy to just have a click along and find, here it is, something about formulas. The little button called Show Formulas is pretty useful, and the reason why, and I'll do that when I assess work, is it obviously shows you the formulas you've got into any cell. These don't have any formula, these cells do, and of course that's where it comes from. If I click on that, yeah, it does the same thing. It shows me the range that it used to work out the average. There's no formulas anywhere else, there's only 3 that I put in the spreadsheet. So the Show Formulas is pretty handy. This, in terms of printing, is extremely important, okay? And what I'm just doing here is just filling with the menus, but it's when you come to printing a spreadsheet, and a lot of people don't really get it. All they do is go File and Print, and as you can see, the graphs are cut off. It's sort of all over the shop. Nothing's really working properly there. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put some borders just around this section. There. And I could put borders around, I guess I will. I'll just finish it off from there as well. And I might even, I'll colour those because that's the carbon dioxide. And I'll make that colour, and then this will be also carbon. I think I said carbon monoxide, I meant carbon dioxide. So that's those sort of data are related. Alright, now view. This is when you're going to print. We're going to view, and then we're going to go across to what's called page break preview. Now, as you can see, there's got this dotted line here, and there's also one sitting behind the graph there. Basically, this means this is page 1 that I'm going to print, and with the dotted line behind there. Okay, this is page 2, and this is page 3 of my spreadsheet. So therefore, I'm going to take 3 pages, going to be cut off, and it's going to be all over the place. So I am going to go back and do a few things before I even change anything. First thing I'm going to do is I'm going to make it landscape format. And you notice that when I do that, see this thing here? That's the page, the end of the page, if you like, and it's pushed it over slightly. Now I can do this, okay, and I can also do this. In other words, if I keep on dragging, you'll see what will happen in a minute. Okay, as I keep on dragging, the dotted line tells me I'm actually at the end of page 2. I'm going to drag it back to there, and I'm going to then drag, oops, I'll just try that again. I'll just drag the second graph over, so it's going to be on the second page. Alright, so that's what I'm looking at now in the page break preview, and you should always get a page break preview before you print any spreadsheet. Alright, now so we're sort of okay there. That's what it's going to look like when we print it out. When we go back to normal view, you'll find that the page breaks now appear where they weren't before. So that's a bit handy. And I'll just go home and then I'm going to File, Print. Some more options. So at the moment, here's page number 1 that we were looking at a minute ago through the page break preview. We're going to scroll to page 2 and it's only that on page 2. Now you can also choose other options in page setup, for example. If you go to Sheet, you can turn grid lines on. I'll show what it looks like. And so you can actually print the spreadsheet showing the grid lines. Did something weird then. It added an extra page in for some reason. So I'm going to turn the grid lines off. Back to sheet, grid lines, and then OK. And of course it's the computer that's changed its mind again. Alright, and so yep, alright, so what I need to do is I've got to go back because it's done naughty things. I'm going to go to view, page break, preview, and for some reason here it is here. Alright, so you notice that I didn't check it. I must have been hiding behind the graphs before. So I'm going to move those over, that graph over, and I'm going to get the other graph as well, and I'll move that over a little bit to there. And I'm going to then move, oops, we'll just move this over to there. So now I do have 1, 2, oh look, we've got 3 pages again. So now I've got to move this over, so I haven't got any dash lines. I think that's right now. Alright, so now if I go File and Print, I've got 1 page and then I've got 2 pages. That's good. Then if I go to Page Setup and I go to Sheet, Grid Lines, let's see what happens now. Yep, okay, so it's working now. There it is, and there it is. Also in Page Setup, depending on what you want to do, you can also change the scale. You can bump it up or bump it down. You don't want to have it too small, or I can't see it, and you have options here for adding all sorts of bits and pieces, but we're not going to use that at year 9. Alright, so happy with that. Okay, we've been into print preview or page view, and we're going to print the spreadsheet, and we print it out on 2 pages. So that's really about it. You go back to normal view, you just click on normal view, and of course, the other thing I've got to do was, yep, I think this was aligned left. So we need to again use that tool to align it to the left in that spreadsheet, and I think this data was aligned center. So that's just all formatting, and just something to be wary of. And we'll save the spreadsheet right at the end. And so we've covered just about all we need to. We've done graphing, we've done formulas and function, we've done the show formulas, we've done the page break preview for printing, and so I think that's around about all we need to do for now anyway.